Happy tears. We're all back. Look at us. Those three stooges. Pierzynski, Kratz, Braun with you. And it's trade deadline week. Actually, I'm happy tears because, AJ, do you know what happened last night for one team that hadn't won in weeks?
The Marlins won?
The Marlins won.
It's been a while.
So back. It's been a long time.
Remember they were like 10 games over, and then all of a sudden they lose 12 or 13 in a row?
Oof. Really bad. 12 in a row. That is – it's crazy, right? I know you guys, while I was gone, were gushing about the Red Sox and what they were able to do, but the Marlins, meanwhile, were like – I'm going out of my shot if you're listening right now.
We had Isaac Azut on. Isaac Azut was on for his birthday, and then it just went downhill. And he came back on. Remember how happy Isaac was? They're moving guys, and then Isaac was on again. Hey, look, fish on first. We got it. But it was bad. It was a bad game all around yesterday for the Phillies and the Marlins.
It was a very different combo. I listened to that one while I was gone. Okay, one thing before we start Charge the Mound, and then we will bring it back in slap hands with your answers. We posted it on X or Twitter. Let's hear it. Your most unrealistic trade deadline prediction. We put Mason Miller up there, so if you want to throw him out there, go for it. Sarah behind the scenes for us said, sure, Skubal to the Yankees, whatever. I did a Soto to the Yankees for Giancarlo and Luis Gil. You can just throw whatever you want out there and have fun, and it's a judgment-free zone. It doesn't have to make any sense. Saw someone, Philip, put Ohtani for Jorge Polanco. Like, it could be your hopes and dreams. It could be star for star. It could just be crazy, or it could be something realistic. I'll let AJ and Kratz let it simmer for a little bit. We'll get answers from them during slap hands. We'll get answers from everyone else during slap hands too. There's already been 40 responses, so I won't get to all of them, but I will get to as many as possible during slap. Let's charge. He's charging the mound. AJ, what's the plan for your favorite team, the Chicago Cubs? They designated Jameson Taillon for assignment, not pitching well, but it's kind of crazy when you look at their team. You're like, wait, the Cubs who are losing all of these arms? Uh-oh, somebody's home. We might have to mute AJ.
Yeah,
and go to
no,
Kratz
the maid
first.
just walked in. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. Hold on.
Okay.
Anything, Kratz.
Clean
anything
up this mess for the Cubs.
to not talk about the Cubs for AJ. Anything. So they DFA Jameson Taillon, and they've lost a ton of arms this year. So this is one that's disappointing for them to not be able to eat some consistent innings that are quality enough.
For sure. I think, a lot's been made about his clubhouse presence. A lot's been made about a lot of different things. Jameson Taillon's contract is going to be the sandwich of a good contract. Tough when he first got there. I hope this move just marks the beginning of what is going to be some significant moves in the rotation for the Cubs. I hope it's something that, yes, they're getting rid of the guy who's leading the league in home runs allowed. Yes, they're getting rid of a guy with above a 6 ERA. But what did he mean to that clubhouse? How many wins is that? You got to make the adjustment in the sense of you got to play better as a player, but as a team, you got to bring in players who are going to pitch better. And if they truly think they're just a playoff team, maybe they keep them. Maybe they truly think they can be the best team in the National League. I don't think so, not without a big type of move, but there's big starting pitchers out there.
Yeah, I don't understand this. They're looking for pitching anywhere they can find pitching. I know he wasn't having a great year. What does he have? 5.92 ERA, so it was almost a 6 ERA.
Why.
But
yeah,
I understand that, but you also need innings, and I guess they think Javier Assad can give them those innings. Colin Ray has been better. But you're already down Horton, you're already down Steele. Shota hasn't been great. It's an interesting move, an interesting time. But hey, you know what? The Cubs thought it was the right move, and they did it. That's kind of where we're at. These teams, they don't want to have veteran guys, I feel like, try to work through stuff. And I know we're deep into the year, so it's a little bit late for that. But, man, it'd be nice to have Jameson Taillon around for this stretch drive when they're trying to get to the postseason. For not only just the pitching part of it, but also just the fact of having him around to talk to some of the younger guys they have. And and just talk and be a veteran presence. Because everything I've heard about Jameson Taillon is he is awesome in the room.
I mean, I guess we'll see what the league thinks of him too, not just the Cubs. Does Jameson Taillon get a job? I think there's a lot. I would be surprised if he's not a Philly. Do you think Philly? Wait a minute, Brian Keller's waiting. So there's those things that are happening in the league right now. They're the decisions that teams have to make. Do you take a guy that's having success in AAA, bring him up to the big leagues? Do you just take the automatic veteran guy who is, struggling compared to what he normally is? That's the decision the Cubs have to make.
It's not even just Horton and Steele. Edward Cabrera's still out, right? He's supposed to come back next month. Ben Braun out indefinitely. I don't know if there's an official timetable there. The David Peterson pickup has been something, right? It's guys like that, I think, AJ, where they're like, hey, we have Peterson stuff over Taillon stuff. We're going to have him replace, like you mentioned, Assad. And then as other guys trickle in, that'll help Aaron Savali too, right? They're going, okay, here are a number of starters that are more in the 4 to 5 range, and they're pushing Taillon out, and that's how they looked at it here. But yes, he'll get DFA'd, cut, and then scooped up by another team looking for back-end starting rotation help. Plus, change of scenery, even for guys that are deep into their career. We've seen it so many times frequently. That is the one thing, right? We can definitely knock every team thinking the same way, AJ, but sometimes a team does have a little special sauce in terms of making a suggestion to a pitcher. I think it's gotten easier for teams to say, listen, we've got one thing we'd like you to try with the data that we see. Will you go for it? Sometimes a pitcher gets a reality check when it's not going well for them, and they're more down to switch it up. I'm not saying I don't know Taillon's exact case in communications with the Cubs, but we've seen that pretty often.
Yeah, it has happened. It happens when guys move around. They say, hey, we think you can use this pitch more effectively if you throw it here, or if you change up your mix, or if you change your grip here and there. It happens a lot. So I'm not saying it can't happen. I don't know. It seems like a weird time for a team that really is looking for innings. But hey, the Cubs are going to do what they're going to want to do. No matter what we say about them, they already made this decision. So it's already happened. And Taillon will pop up somewhere, I'm sure, on a team that probably has a chance to go to the postseason, and he'll probably pitch some significant innings for him. I mean, the thing that scares you a little bit, though, is the strikeouts, right? 76 innings, only 68 strikeouts. That's not a big number for a guy who used to strike out some dudes back a few years ago.
Yeah,
and the home runs.
And the home
runs. I mean, clearly.
Yeah, the homers. Some of that can be attributed to Chicago, but reality is he's leading the league in home runs allowed, and he only has 76 innings pitched. But to me, I think when I look at it, and this is completely my opinion, is he's not in that top 3 of the guys in this rotation. The other guys that they're keeping have a little bit of versatility. David Peterson, Colin Ray, those guys can slot into the bullpen. I'm not saying he should have been kept over those guys. I'm saying if they make a move, when they make a move for a starter, Jameson Taillon probably, with his injury history recently, getting up there a little bit in age, just how he's been used, maybe they don't feel like he's able to be slotted into the pen, and so he was the one guy out.
Okay, what's next? What do we have for the Cubs? All we're doing for the next week is talking trades, trade deadline,
they got to
trade
get
rumors,
somebody.
And needs. Who?
They got to.
And also, you're saying
they got to get a starter.
Top end. Yeah.
Yes, they got to get a top end starter for me if they want to do damage in the postseason. Matthew Boyd has been good since he's come back, right? But the rest, does that rotation scare you? If you're going up against the Dodgers, are they walking into play a 5-game series, best of 5, 3 out of 5 against the Cubs, and they're like, oh no, we have to face those guys? No. If you go in to face Milwaukee and you have Mizorowski and you have Harrison healthy, and then if they go out and get someone else and add to that, then that's a team where you're like, wow, if they, God forbid, if they went out and got Skubal, that scares you a little bit, right? But I don't think teams going into a 5-game or a best of 7 against the Chicago Cubs, the way their rotation is right now, it doesn't scare a lot of teams. I don't feel like it's enough.
Well, Foster Griffin's been talked about a ton. Robbie Ray is definitely going to get traded, and he's been pitching well at the right time. Maybe Gausman gets traded and finds it. I'm sure he will, right? He's just going through a little bit of a rough patch in my mind. And then, of course, Skubal's the big dog I don't think the Cubs are going to trade for Skubal. I don't see that one. I don't see them giving up the farm. And I'm holding who was it? Either, I think it was Patrick Mooney on the show last week said that we've knocked, right? Cubs front office wants to be in a position for a buy, or they are not pushing full chips in. They'll push half chips in. I actually believe in that. So I think that they'll go Skubal. Nope. What's the next tier? Okay, maybe a Ray, maybe a Foster Griffin.
Joe Ryan.
And that's a guy who can pitch a playoff game for us. Joe Ryan, if they trade him, I don't know if they're trading him. I mean, I keep seeing people throw out there that the Twins are going to kind of just see if this team makes a run. Like, if you trade Joe Ryan and you're the Twins, you're punting. Right now, the Twins are
not out of it.
whatever amount. They're not out of it. So I don't know if they're going to add
3 games out.
Sounds about right. One of you can look while we're chatting, but it's tight. So if they're not out of it, Joe Ryan is like, my season's done. And I know Joe Ryan has not pitched as well in the last month or so as he did in the first half, and he's got some tale of two halves in his career. But still, you're punting if you trade Joe Ryan right now. I don't know if they're going to, based on how the ownership is looking at the current situation there. They're 3 games out. I mean, you know this, AJ.
The division, and they're 1 game out of the last wild card, so they're right there. Because the American League basically takes.
Yeah, and the Twins will add a bullpen arm or two and say, look, we're trying a little bit, and we're not actually punting. And that's actually progress in Minnesota right now.
No,
right?
No, yeah. I agree. I think it's based on less on what they should do and more on what have they done. Did the Cubs moves this offseason, did that signify that the Cubs are pushing in? Because if that's the case, then I think they'll get that higher end pitcher that they're looking for, the higher end starting piece, the one more big bullpen piece. But I don't know that the Bregman move, the Edward Cabrera, who's going to be coming back, was that move like the Cubs? Well, we're pushing all in here. This is our time. I think they just have slowly tried to make their team a little bit better. So I think they're going to stay with that MO, and they're going to get a Robbie Ray type. They're going to get that piece that fits into the rotation. And if they get a hot month and a half, you know what? You'll pitch game 3. You know what? You'll get 4 innings in a best of 5 series, because we don't really have this mega rotation that's just going to – we're looking to hopefully win instead of, yes, this is the move that we're going to make that's going to put us over the top to win it.
Yeah, I don't think they feel like they've got it all this year. I think they feel like they have something playoff worthy, but not necessarily the push the chips in situation. Northside Territory covers all of this. Patrick Mooney has popped up frequently on our show. Same with Sahadev Sharma. John Lester, new addition to that show too. So if you want to listen to the 2016 World Series champ along with 2 Cubs reporters out there in Chicago, go for it. QR code, podcast platforms, however you want to find it. Coming up next, we are talking to an awesome story, Brian Keller popping up in the bigs with the Phillies, and it took a minute. If only we had someone who could relate to the story. Be right back. If you're watching us, you already know we're wearing Mack Weldon right now as we talk about a great brand that makes things so comfortable and easy to wear. But if you're listening to the show, let me tell you a little bit more about Mack Weldon with my friend Erik Kratz.
Yeah, it's comfortable. It's light. It's summertime right now. For me, though, they cater to what I need, tall clothes. Normally when I buy tall clothes, it's like something that's cumbersome and boxy. It still fits incredibly well, super light, perfect for the summertime. They got me all covered.
Comfortable performance material can be yours. Mack Weldon is the spot. Don't sweat the heat this summer. Feel as effortlessly cool as you look with Mack Weldon. Go to mackweldon.com and get 20% off your first order of $125 or more with promo code FOUL. That's MACKWELDON.com. Code FOUL. With a 5-ish ERA pitching in San Francisco, was able to shut them down and then hand it over to the bullpen. Pat Murphy, this coming from Todd Rosiak, who covers the team. Murph made it clear he wasn't making excuses for what happened, but he did mention the Brewers sat on the runway in Milwaukee for 5 hours on Sunday night due to issues with their charter plane, led to a very late arrival in San Francisco. Obviously not optimal. I used to say sure, but AJ, the way the Red Sox have done this a couple times this year and been caught with travel issues and then look gangbusters, I'm like, meh, whatever. I know what you're going to say. Like, deal with it.
Yeah, deal with it. They had a bad game. That's why they didn't lose because of the plane. I mean, and listen, everyone at home is going to say this thing right here. They're on charter planes. It's not like they're sitting in the airport in the terminal. They're sitting on the plane waiting. They're getting drinks. They're getting food. They have, TVs or whatever. I've never been on the Brewers plane, but I'm assuming they have like first class seats and everyone's hanging out. So, I mean, at least they were going east to west. They didn't go west to east where they would have lost more time. So at least they had the advantage of going east to west. When they got in, they picked up a couple hours. So, and they got to sleep in. They just had a bad game. Sure, they had travel issues, but nobody cares. Nobody cares. Honestly, at the end of the day, nobody cares. Just go play good.
Yep, exactly. I'm with you. Hey, also, can I show you guys the animated merch that we have? There's a Miz one that's got a little pokey fun to it. New collection. Shohei's on there. Ben Rice, PCA, your boy Murakami, Jordan Walker, Bryce with the Liberty Bell, Drake Baldwin, Georgia Peach, and the Miz and his animated characters. The animated collection. It's sick. Go get it. MountTerritoryShop.com. Brian Keller of the Phillies making his debut and really earning it, joining us right now on FT to tell the story. Brian, great to have you on. We really appreciate the time. I know this is a loaded question, but can we just start off with a little clip notes on what it's been like to debut in the show here after a long time earning it in the minor leagues to make it up?
Yeah, dream come true, It's been a long time coming, and the stars finally aligned,
All right. So wait, the stars weren't aligned before? You went to Japan. You made some cash. Like,
Yeah.
that feels like the stars aligned. Were you close another time?
Yeah. So I got close in Boston, playing for Worcester. Got called into the office a couple times, like, hey, we're gonna cut your start short to maybe like 2 innings because the bullpen might need some help later in the week, and then so it just didn't work out. Never got that call, but finally did.
Is that tough? I mean, what you're talking about is the fact that in AAA, pitchers, it looks like our bullpen's a little cooked. Starter didn't go real long tonight. You get kind of pulled out of a start or a shortened start, and then you sit there waiting. Is that hard, or do you eventually learn how to do that since by the time you were at Boston, you were an older player?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of you just got to go with the flow, as much as you want to stress about it and stuff, that just like doesn't help anything. So you just kind of go with the flow, and if it happens, happens. But the only thing that I can do is pitch as well as I can and give them a reason to give me a shot.
Brian, what was it like when you got the call? That's what I want to know about. What was that moment like when the manager called you in and said, "Hey, Brian, you're going to pitch for the Phillies in the big leagues"? Who'd you call first? What was your reaction? Did you jump up and down and start screaming and going crazy, or did you try to just act all cool, like I knew this would happen?
Yeah, no. Well, I'm not the most animated guy, so no, I wasn't jumping up and down. But Tank called me into the office. He actually texted me like, I don't know, an hour before report time. We were in Indy, so the hotel's walkable to the field. So he was like, hey, just like, come in as soon as you can, come see me. So, I had a hunch, but when I got there, he sat me down, gave me the spiel about what the week was looking like, and then kind of told me what my role was going to be. And then he ended it with saying, the only difference is it's going to be in the big leagues. So, to be honest, I shed a few tears, and I was just really happy.
Who was the first person you called?
I called my wife, went out to the dugout, found a good spot, called my wife, FaceTimed her, and yeah, just the only words that I could get out was we did it. So
What was the moment when you got to Philly that you were like, wow, I'm a big leaguer? Was it the fact that you saw your uniform in your locker? Was it the fact that you put the uniform on? What was your moment?
yeah, I think walking in the locker room, was special for sure. But yeah, once you see your nameplate on top of your locker and the last name on your jersey, just like I don't know, indescribable feeling.
What was it like when you walked in to the Phillies? I mean, you have Schwarber, you have Harper, you have
Yeah,
Wheeler, Real Muto, right? You got some big name dudes, Nola, Christopher
yeah,
Sanchez,
yeah.
Luzardo. Did you know any of these guys before you got there? Because you weren't in camp with the Phillies, were you?
No, no. So yeah, serious star power in that locker room, right? So um, yeah, so cool. But there were a few guys that I did know. One guy in particular I played with in Worcester, Chase Sugar. So he's been kind of helping me through the whole thing and giving me the tips and what I need to know and that kind of thing. And a few other guys that I had known to make things feel a little more like familiar. Um, Super helpful, just like feeling a little bit more comfortable. And then yeah, just like I guess just understanding that everybody is at the end of the day, they're just like they're a human, just like yeah, there's superstars in there, but like, yeah, they're just trying to kick it too until it's like game time and then they lock in.
Did you feel comfortable enough to play ping pong against Schwarber? Because supposedly he wants to play ping pong against everybody.
Not yet. I played ping pong against one of his really good friends, Kyle Hart, back in Worcester. And Kyle kicked my ass every time. So we'll have to see what Schwarb's got.
Yeah, well, you're not very good at ping pong because I remember when you were in spring training, I think, your first ever big league spring training outing.
Yeah,
If
he
it
did.
wasn't, you got a brutal number for your first invite over to spring training with the Yankees. But fast forward then, that was
Yeah.
2018. Fast forward 8 years later, how satisfying or intimidating was it to face the Yankees in your big league debut?
Not intimidating, just like kind of like a full circle moment. But like I'm here for a reason. And my biggest thing was trying to stay within myself, stay calm, um, so that I could have that clarity in game, so I could analyze the situation in real time, make the right decision, and throw the right pitch and command it how I need to.
What was more nerve wracking, your first big league pitch or your first pitch in Japan? Because that's the big leagues in Japan.
Yeah, so yeah, I didn't really get to play like a full like a regular season game there. I played some exhibition and then spring training games, but uh, yeah, it just wasn't quite the same. Like this was packed house at the bank, and this one was felt like a little bit more pressure for sure.
Definitely more pressure. Now you talked about like executing your pitches. I
Yeah,
specifically remember. I don't remember the coach, but I know it was one of the like minor league roving pitching coaches. You were coming in the game, and they said Aaron Boone was our manager that year, and that was Boone's first year as the manager of the Yankees.
yeah,
And I was coming in the game. You were coming into the game, and they were like, Boone's like, I don't really know, but I forget who the pitching coach is. He's like, hey, he knows about him, and he goes, dude, this guy, he's going to sit 92 to 95, ridiculous command, and you just spotted up. I knew from that day you were a unicorn. You threw strikes in the Yankees organization where everybody said you throw 98 to 101 or you have nothing. Do you feel
yeah.
like your story proves that people can throw strikes and still make it to the big leagues, or your story proves that you have to throw hard if you truly want to make it to the big leagues before 32?
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. So I came up with the Yankees in a time where they had Luis Severino throwing 100. They had Dellin Betances throwing 100, or Aldis Chapman. Like every guy was throwing 100. So yeah, I didn't fit in for sure. But like when you look at these guys, like yeah, you're probably gonna have better chance if you're throwing hard. But at the end of the day, it's like if you're not executing your pitches and getting ahead, you're you're gonna have a tough time against big league hitters.
For sure. For
Is it
sure.
is
What
it
about
different,
what about your
Brian,
first
for you?
what about your first big league flight?
That was tight. That was a lot of fun.
What was the best part about it?
Best part, just the environment, man. Like just seeing these guys and like, that was just like any given Sunday for them. But yeah, to be a part of it is like so special.
Brian, when you took the big league mound and you looked up, did you take a minute to like soak it in and to look around and just kind of see the third deck and maybe find your wife? I think she was at the game. Did you just take a second? I hope you did because you deserve
Yeah,
it for all you've been through. Just take a deep heck, get a pitch clock violation because you know what? I would have said to the umpire, look, I'm 32 years old. This is my big league debut. I want to enjoy every second of this. So pitch clock away.
yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what I did. I looked around, looked up, and like it just kept going. You know what I mean? Like, uh, and yeah, I did run out of time. So we got to the point where JT was like, "Don't throw this next pitch because we're gonna get an auto ball." So yeah, I took it in maybe a little bit too much, but didn't matter.
Where do you
No, you
have your
should have.
first strikeout ball?
I think Clubhouse guy still has it. I think they're gonna. I don't know if they authenticate it or what, but that's going to my dad for sure.
Very cool,
Nice.
dude. Yeah, unreal. What about conversations? Some of your favorite conversations so far with fans, teammates, etc. Take us through some of what's going on there that you can remember. I know it's probably a
Yeah,
blur for
yeah.
you.
There's been a lot, and
Yeah.
a lot of debates and all that stuff. But I think favorite conversation so far has been with Cotham. Just like talking ball with him, talking pitch strategy and like how to attack certain hitters, how to best use my stuff. And like I can tell that he loves that kind of stuff and I do too. So good fit.
So you were talking about your schedule. Do they tell you a schedule? Because obviously you're aware it's the trade deadline. You're living this big league life. What's the like? You talking about your AAA schedule, and then Tank told you, well, this is what your schedule is going to be in the big leagues. Do you have a schedule? Have they told you your role?
Kind of. Yeah. It's a little bit tentative at this point. So like the deal is we're going to see like how this series plays out. And if that means on Wednesday tomorrow, if I'm going to be in the bullpen for emergency, and if not, we're going to plan on throwing on Friday.
Does that mean last night when Wheeler goes 3, do you sit there and go, oh crap, that means I might get sent down? Or wait a minute, wait, I'm ready to go. Like I can throw.
Yeah, that means like, yeah, put me in, coach. Like I'll be ready tomorrow if you need me. Let's go.
Did they talk to you about recovery? Because normally if you were 22 and not 32, they would have sat there and been like, oh, wait, we can't hurt this prospect. But now you have a beard. Now you're older. They're like, yeah, we'll put you back out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just ready for whatever they throw at me. Like I'll take them any way I can get them.
Hey, Brian, guide me through how much the minor leagues have changed, pros and cons, right? So
Oh,
take me through like first minor league, year or two versus the last year or two, food, tech, coaching, everything, the types of players there. Give me the whole rundown.
yeah. Well, in today's minor league system, I don't exist. Like I'm a 39th round draft pick. That doesn't exist anymore. So I spent my first year in the GCL, then in Pulaski, Virginia, in the Appalachian League, which is rookie ball, and then Staten Island for a little bit. Short season low A. The only one that exists out of that is the GCL, which is the FCL now. So that's a lot of players that are not in the organization anymore. And yeah, like I said, I just wouldn't exist. I would have never gotten the opportunity. So that's tough to like think about guys like in my position that like just barely squeaked in. It's just like they're maybe just not going to get that shot anymore. But yeah, as far as like just like general day-to-day stuff, like they have it pretty good now. Like it's come a long way. And I can't speak for every organization. I've been with a few really good ones. But like the food is better, the travel is way better because you spend basically 6 days with a scheduled off day every Monday. So like you're not taking these, you know, you're not taking too many. We did it a couple weeks ago actually from Omaha to Indy, but like sleeper bus trips, like 10 plus hours, and then have to play the next day at whatever 5 or 6 o'clock. I'm sure Kratz, you remember a couple of those in Scranton, going to Charlotte, going to Durham. Yeah. So they just don't get that anymore, but they get paid a little bit better. And yeah, it's better overall. It's just tough for the guys that might not get that opportunity that I got.
Brian, I was watching on TV yesterday. The strippers were playing. The Gwinnett strippers were playing somebody. I forget who they were playing. A team, and it was Sunday, and they were saying, "Oh, that ends our 6-game series, right?"
Yep.
And I think the Stripers went 4-2 in those 6 games. If it is a starting pitcher, does one guy start the first game and then start this like Tuesday, Sunday, or is it every week one guy starts like the first game of the series and the next guy starts the next game? So you have a 6-man rotation. It stays on the same schedule.
It depends on like the roster that week, but for the most part, yeah, if you're starting on Tuesday, you're probably going back out there on Sunday, which is tough because like that's the only time it throughout the season that you're going to throw on the 5th day, and on top of that, you have to face the same team you just faced, and on top of that, that Sunday is a day game, so it's just like not ideal for that situation. But other than that, though, like it's usually a 6-day schedule, but again, always changes based on who's coming up and down and how many starters do we have? Are we going to throw a bullpen game? That kind of thing.
All right. Is it good? Is it good for the game? All those changes, because I was a 29th rounder. I wouldn't have been drafted. I wouldn't have had my career. Like, is it better for everything that you just mentioned? Is it actually better for the game, or do you feel like it just lines the owner's pockets because it's less money?
I don't know if I can make a definitive like answer on that, because it is better for the players that are here, no doubt. It's unfortunate for the guys that don't get in, but at the same time, these indie ball leagues now are like getting pretty good. Like there's a lot of good talent in there. So if you have pretty good showing in those other leagues, you do have a chance to step into affiliate ball, and then hopefully you can prove yourself from there.
Brian, last one from me. Best motivational advice you've ever received in a time that you needed it most, and worst or most debilitating words that you heard at some point.
Oh man, that's a tough one.
You don't have to attribute the person, by the way. You could if you want, but just and you can paraphrase. But any times where you were like, "Wow, that really helped me," or "Damn, that was harsh."
Yeah, I don't know if for sure I've ever had anybody like really beat me down with any harsh words, like at least too bad. Um, you see it in the actions sometimes more than the words that are said to you. But I've been blessed to have like a lot of really great coaches throughout my career, and I'm going to say most of them were always trying to lift me up. So yeah, I don't know if I can think of anything off the top of my head that would be like, a quote that somebody said, but yeah, I think just like pitching coaches continually telling me that that I can do it and that I belong, and that as long as I just like throw strikes and use my stuff, that I can get the job done. Yeah, that's all I can think of right now.
That's fine. And actually, that's nice to hear that, the advice was good. Sometimes we bring players on with a story in the same ballpark as yours, and they'll have that one, hey, a scout told me this, right, Kratz? Like there was one in particular that was really stand out where a scout.
Palencia. He
Oh,
was told,
Valencia.
yeah, the closer from the Cubs. He was told you'll never pitch in the big leagues. You have no chance. And he was like, I remember that. I remember that in my first big league outing. That kind of stuff. It's like, you don't remember like your best teammate ever?
I do remember you. Of course I do.
Of course you do. And I want to make sure before we tell you bye, that I have the same amount of big league strikeouts as you do on the mound. So you gotta pick it up. So
did yours come via the knuckleball?
One did, yes.
Yeah, a good one.
It's a good. It's a good one. It's a good.
Oh
one.
yeah. I always felt like
nice beard.
Me, then I pitched it to you.
No. That's not true. You throw hard. You just didn't throw hard as everybody else.
Well, Kratz is always going to have one more big league knuckleball strikeout than you, unless you do something crazy to us. So
yeah,
he'll have something. But go wipe out his strikeouts, his career strikeouts. All right, do your thing, man. Yeah, it's awesome. It's been cool to watch the ride here to get up to the show. Thanks for sharing the story. It's super helpful for a lot of ball players that listen to this. Good luck the rest of the way, and we'll talk to you down the line.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And by the way, of course, you can watch Brian pitching for the Philadelphia Phillies. We have the Philly Show, part of the FT Network, talking trade deadline this week. So subscribe to it if you don't already. Otherwise, just go check out the show if you want to learn more about the fighting Phils. Go grab a ticket to a ball game this week. SeatGeek helping you out. We always have the code for you too if you're new to the party. So yesterday when we fired this up for the week, guys, Whit Merrifield and Josh Harrison actually nailed the pop quiz in terms of which two series I thought had the most juice with bubble teams. Orioles taking on the Tigers. Tigers lost. We're going to get into that in a sec. Diamondbacks and Pirates as well. Pirates picking up a dub. So any other particular matchups, or if you want to look at that one again, Melton's going up against Kramer and Brandon Pfaadt going up against Bubba Chandler. AJ, any series that you're dialed in on this week? I have a feeling I know what you're going to say.
No, I don't think you do. I'm interested in the Mariners and the Dodgers because the Mariners just lost 3 out of 4 to Texas, and Texas is in first place. And everyone thought at some point, especially after the Mariners had that, what was it, a 9-game winning streak? Everyone's like, here comes the Mariners. Well, guess what? The Mariners, since like the beginning of June, are scoring 0 runs a game, cannot hit home runs. They strike out a ton. Their pitching has fallen off a little bit. And now they just lose 3 out of 4 to Texas. And now they got to go face the Dodgers in Los Angeles. And they get Robleski the first night, an all-star pitcher. I want to see how they react because they got to get something figured out and see if Jerry Dipoto has enough faith in them to make a move to try to help them. Because right now, the Mariners are not a good team.
Yeah, you have to show your GM that you actually have the team with the sauce. By the way, that is the exact series I was thinking for you. No, I'm just kidding. I was thinking Yankees, White Sox, but Kratz, anything else? I know.
No, I mean, that's it. I think for me, a little bit of intrigue in the Cubs Cardinals. Are the Cardinals going to continue on the slide that they've been on, not scoring enough? And can the Cubs I think they're just a team that's constantly on the rise. Obviously, the whole Taillon thing, we'll see where they go. But I just feel like the Cubs have been playing over the last month a little bit different. And I think anytime you have a NL Central matchup, it's always a good matchup.
One other quick note. Could be the last start for Reid Detmers in an Angels uniform. Could be the last start for Sandy Alcantara in a Marlins uniform, depending on what they do. No,
No
definitely
chance.
no.
They're like never going to trade him. I'm so tired of hearing, oh, Sandy Alcantara might get traded. They're never going to trade him. It's like, oh, we don't want to trade him. Trade him, please.
I don't know. I think if they get the right asking price, but you're right. Probably not now, maybe in the offseason. Territory 10% off MLB tickets. SeatGeek hooks you up. If you can't find a ticket, you can find it on SeatGeek, officially licensed with MLB. That's the ticket marketplace officially for MLB that helps you out with the green dot, the red dot, making sure that you pick the right seats at the right time to take advantage of your evening. Hot sizzle, hot corner. Oof. Originally, when Cody Bellinger went down, I was seeing some tweets like, they don't know if it'll be an IL trip. Now it's a grade 2 on the hamstring strain. AJ, that means 4 to 6 weeks for Belly. And it's okay. I mean, he'll be back for the stretch run for the Yankees. The bigger issue for them has just been what we expect when Aaron Judge goes down. So Judge last played on May 31st. Since then, the Yankees have put up 183 runs. That is 26th in baseball. 26th. So their offense stinks without Judge. What do you know? And then who's been their second best hitter? Probably Bellinger. Now he's out for a while.
No, Ben Rice.
Oh, sorry.
Ben Rice.
Ben
Rice.
My bad.
Yes.
3?
Ben Rice, for sure.
My bad.
But
Forgot about
Ben Rice has literally been the only one that's been hitting, because even before Bellinger got hurt, he was struggling too. He wasn't exactly swinging it great. No one else on this team is swinging it very well. You lose Judge, and now you lose Bellinger. Stanton, we never know when he's going to come back. Every time they say he gets close, there's a setback. We haven't heard really anything on Judge, have we? Do we have any update on Judge other than we're going to get imaging and more imaging? And he's got the MRI machine has to be worn out because he's had so much imaging done. So I just don't know. I don't know what the Yankees do. The Yankees can still really pitch when you have Fried and Cole and Schlittler and the way they run out their pitchers. Weathers has been pretty good for them. I mean, so their bullpen's been good with Hedrick and Bednar and some of the other guys. So they can really pitch, but man, the Yankees are the Bronx Bombers. They're not the Bronx Chuckers. They're not the Bronx pitchers, right? They're supposed to go out there and hit home runs, and it hasn't been there. Their offense has not been what we thought it would be. Now, whether it's injuries or what, but yeah, losing Bellinger hurts, man. I mean, look at those averages. Look at the batting averages on the New York Yankees. And then even the home runs. Remember Jazz Chisholm was supposed to go 50-50 this year? Didn't Paul Goldschmidt just go like 0 for 40 or some crazy number? So, I mean, it's been interesting to watch the Yankees struggle to score runs.
Obviously, I think there's the issue. What did it say? The 26th most runs scored since Aaron Judge has been out. Like, to me, I think when Aaron Judge is in the lineup, I feel like you can have certain types of at-bats. Like, hey, you know what does it take to get on base? It's great to have a great on-base percentage, but if you don't have that one feared slugger in the lineup, where is this team going to be able to score from? Yes, they're second in the league in home runs right now. You have to be able to manufacture, and I think that's why Yankee fans, whether you look at the Baseball Savant page, there's a lot of blue on Jose Caballero's Baseball Savant page. I think he encapsulates what Yankees hitters should be when Judge is not in the lineup. How do you figure it out? How do you get the job done? Don't be just one-dimensional as a team. Be able to fight through things, fight through different types of pitchers. I see the same thing with the Phillies. The Phillies, you watch them and you're like, okay, well, if we don't get a big homer somewhere here or there, how are we getting things done? And I think the Yankees lineup needs to create a different identity to scoring runs when Judge isn't in there. And I think it's something that how do you take care of that? How do you solve that issue at the trade deadline? I have no idea, because everybody's looking for hitting.
And also you're hoping that you don't need to do too much with your outfield if you think that Judge is going to return and Bellinger is going to return. Judge should return. They keep saying he's going to come back. So if Judge
When?
comes back, Belly comes back. When for Judge? I mean, we're looking at most
Next
likely
year?
September. I mean, we're looking at most
Next
likely
year?
September.
I mean, we haven't heard. When was the last update we had other than it was imaging? I haven't heard any update. Have you guys heard any updates?
The only update that I've
Also,
seen, what? No. The only update I've seen is we don't have a timetable, but he's coming back this year.
no, he got
Okay.
his other imaging, and it was not healing as fast as they had hoped. Very vague, but it was right around the All-Star break when they took the imaging, and it's not what they were hoping it was going to heal so he could take the next step in his rehab. Again, what's the next step? Like get off the couch, swing with two hands, stop, we don't have any other information outside of that.
Not great. I still think he's going to come back, but I think, AJ, it's going to be September. So that definitely hurts.
Well, you're going to need a ramp up time because we're already almost into August and he hasn't done anything for 2 months now. So there's going to have to be a ramp up time. It's not like, it's not like you can just jump back in there. He's going to have to go on a rehab. He's going to have to start with 20 swings off a tee, right? And then 20 live swings and then 20 flips. And then he's going to have to get probably at least a week of at bats because he's going to have to play the outfield. He's going to have to build up to 9 innings. He's not just going to start the first game and after 2 months and the Yankees are going to say, you know what, Judgy, go play right field for 9 innings in AAA against, whoever. No, he's going to have to start with 3 innings or 5 innings and slowly work. He's basically going to have spring training all over again.
Correct. So it's going to be a minute. They're going to have to continue to weather the storm and put a little bit more on the board in terms of offense. Okay, coming up next, bold predictions, an article that we'll react to and pick some of our favorites out. Hey, Curtis Mead gets moved over to the Red Sox, and poor guy, bruised left wrist right from the jump. Chad Tracy, manager, said, we're going to take a day-to-day, see how he feels coming in. A little sore, at least right now. Looks like we dodged a bullet. So x-rays were negative, but man, I'm rooting for this guy, AJ. He was a top-end prospect. Then the White Sox DFA him. He bounced around in some trades, found a home with the Nats. I hope that he finds success with the Red Sox here. Plus, I loved Dan Kolko's, whatever he would say, something mate on the home run call. We'll see if that continues with Dave O'Brien and Mike Monaco and whoever calls Red Sox games when he's hitting dingers.
Yeah, he's having a great year too. So that's what you don't want to get hurt for that. Just he's having a really good year. He's finally gotten playing time where he could play consistently, and he's made the most of it. So you never want to see a guy get traded and in the first game get hit in the hand, wrist area, and then oh man, now he's going to be out for a month. Like oh no, that would have been awful. So this is good positive news. We need more positive news, and good luck to Mead getting back out there and trying to be the bat the Red Sox desperately need.
Neither of you guys were on Monday, by the way. What did you think of the trade after you answer whatever you're going to say, Kratz?
No, that's exactly what I'm so intrigued by this trade. Going from an organization like the Nats, who have had this hitting resurgence, what are the things that the Nats are doing, to a Red Sox team who has a ton of young prospect hitters on it, where they're just kind of hitting kind of well, but like, hey, we love the pitching. We're going to continue pushing the pitching. I'll be interested to see how Curtis Mead transitions into this new role, new team, all that stuff. Because with the Nats, it was almost like we're rolling the dice. We're going to go out here, and guys are having career years all over the place with the Nats. Not so much with the Red Sox.
You would think Taboni speaks.
I'm shocked they gave up early. That was when I saw this trade, I was like, wow, that seems like a high price to pay. No offense to me, but wow, I was like, isn't he supposed to be one of the guys for the Red Sox for years to come? And they traded him. They must not think as highly of him as we do.
No, and you guys missed this, but I gave credit to Breslow yesterday. He had his most human quote, definitely of the year, if not of his tenure, where he was just like, hey, everybody's got the same info, and I just had a team need, and I went for it.
Wow, I like that.
It was a good quote. In the weeds, one bold prediction for each team ahead of the MLB trade deadline. And we're going to try and rack up each division. This is put out by The Athletic, and I can point out some of the writers that did this. And the first one actually that put out a bold prediction that I really like was coming from Cody Stavenhagen, who covers the Tigers, but had a little note on the Diamondbacks. So this is what the title looks like. Now, let's just rack right through some of these divisions so we can get the guys to react. Basically, maybe point one thing out per board. We'll go down the line. We're going to start with the National League West. I'll just read it so the podcast crowd can also listen, and then you guys react. For the Dodgers, another starter is dealt. I like this one for the Diamondbacks, where they're not getting first base production, and they would pick up Luis Garcia Jr. here. It's another Curtis Mead case where he's just having a freaking gangbusters year with this new front office helping him out. Padres, Mason Miller gets traded ... next year. For the Giants, Bryce Eldridge finishes strong. That's not very bold. And the Rockies extending Hunter Goodman. AJ, one on the board. Do you like?
I love the next year for Mason Miller. That's funny. And the Rockies extend Hunter Goodman. I don't know why they haven't already tried to have this extension talks. So the other ones, yes, Luis Garcia Jr. would fit nicely in the Diamondbacks, but why has Hunter Goodman not been extended? I know his defense doesn't add up, but to a perfect, catcher, but Mike Piazza wasn't a perfect catcher, and he's in the Hall of Fame because he hit a lot of homers. So if you knock in more than you let in, I feel like he's the perfect player maybe the Rockies could build around because he's been in the All-Star game a couple of times, and fans are starting to take notice of Hunter Goodman.
I think it'd be tremendous if the Nats got rid of Luis Garcia Jr. for some talent. And the Diamondbacks need somebody that can hit. Now, Garcia Jr. swings up. There's a lot of chase in that game, but he's put a lot of hard contact on the ball. And I'd love to see him in the desert with that team that can run. And I think he might drive in more runs than he does with the Nats. Like I think I think that, to me, that's the bold prediction that I love to see, especially if the Nats can continue to turn their hitting into pitching.
Yeah, and I like when you get specific on the bold deadline prediction. Let's get to the AL East. For the Rays, they make a big splash. And that's a good call. There's some teams that get to this point. You're waiting for them to have that season where it's all coming together. The Rays have it. Do they go for it a little bit more than they usually do at the deadline? Yankees righty hitting catcher added. That doesn't feel bold at all. That feels like a definite.
Chalk.
Red Sox adding a right-handed bat. They just did with Mead. Maybe they add another one. Yunier Cano getting called on for the Orioles, and a top-tier starter added for the Blue Jays. AJ, that's bold because they might be selling.
Yeah, that was one that surprised me. Are the Blue Jays buying or selling? But I thought they were selling, but I guess not according to The Athletic. That one surprised me. Here's the one that just needs to happen. Tampa Bay makes a big splash. Do it. Do it, Mr. Neander. Do it, Kevin Cash. Make that big splash and give your team a chance to make the World Series and possibly win it, because the American League is so down right now. If you can make that big splash, whether it's a hitter, Adam Yandy Diaz and Caminero, whether it's another guy in that rotation, whatever it is, Tampa, now is the time to strike, because the American League is down. We just talked about the Yankees' woes. The rest of this league is not good right now. This is your chance to make a deep postseason run. Do it.
2 notes. Chad Jennings in this article wrote for the Rays and pointed out how the last time they were in a good position to buy at the trade deadline, their big move was Aaron Savali. And remember, that's when they got knocked out in the wild card round, and the Trop was like a ghost town, and it was just a bad series for them, right? Wasn't that 23 against the Texas Rangers, who went on a little heater there? So the Rays just did not do what they were supposed to do. On the bold prediction front, I do want to just defend Mitch Bannon, who's the host of our Bluebird Territory and wrote this for the Blue Jays. Bold prediction doesn't mean that it's going to happen. You're just saying, hey, if I see the Blue Jays doing something and they're kind of wavering a little bit, leaning towards sell, my bold prediction is, he said, that they actually buy and they make an addition that's more of a long-term play. So he pointed out names like José Soriano, Reid Detmers, or even Nick Lodolo, guys that they could pick up, see if they get hot this year as a team. If not, they still picked up a starter that they can use long term, just to give context there. Kratz?
No, I'm just going to say those names that you just said, that's who I see the Rays picking up. I see the Rays turning José Soriano around and having years of control, and that's their big move, because they're going to be like, hey, you know what? In the beginning of the season, the first month and a half, when you were an all-star candidate, you were a Cy Young candidate, your splitter release point was 2 inches higher. We're going to figure out how to get back to that point, and you're going to be dominant for us and be a front of the rotation behind McClanahan, behind Rasmussen, behind like all those dudes.
Let's go AL West. I like some of these. And they're bold. We'll start with the Rangers. They have Luke Weaver going over there. So Texas kind of in the middle, but they usually buy if they feel like they're in the middle. And this would be a long-term play, or it's a 2-year guy in Weaver. This is a big one. Chandler Rome wrote this one. Jeremy Pena traded away. That could be a bold prediction. He's kind of pushing, saying, hey, this doesn't seem like it's necessarily the best Astros roster that they're rolling out there. It's a seller's market. And they haven't been able to agree on a contract extension with Pena. We're getting close to time to figure that out. Mariners, they're saying Dipoto tamer than usual if he doesn't love what they're doing, which we talked about earlier on the show. A is standing pat, so not doing much. And then Angels big league talent is added. What do you like, AJ?
Well, the surprisingly, Dipoto tame. He's never tame. He always tries to make some moves. He can't sit still on his phone. But Jeremy Pena getting traded away. And I was just in Texas. I heard Luke Weaver's name being bandied about, which sure, he would be nice because their bullpen didn't strike anybody out. Their bullpen's been good, but it is a low strikeout bullpen. And I don't know names you've ever heard of, but the big news of that is Jeremy Pena getting traded away. I thought he was like a centerpiece for the Astros for a long time, but apparently not.
I mean, mine are, again, they're switched. My bold prediction for the West would be that the Athletics get big league talent. This is when they can go and get that pitcher that doesn't really have a choice. He doesn't have a choice to come to the A's. They trade away. They have a lot of right-handed hitting power that is possibly going to help a team. They trade one of those guys away, and then they can lock in a starting rotation piece that they're never going to be able to get in free agency because nobody's going to Sacramento until they're at least in Vegas.
Yeah, you have to get creative, especially for pitching. It is going to be tough to land pitching without severely overpaying, and I don't see them doing that consistently like they did with Severino, who's now, I mean, he bounced back in his first 6 weeks, but he's been MIA for a while now. He's been hurt. I think it's the shoulder. NL Central, this might be the best one that they put together in terms of a 1 through 5 in the division here. So they have Milwaukee landing Skubal. Cubs get the big starter, a much needed starter, probably a B-lister. Pirates say hello to Isaac Paredes. I like that. Cardinals deal away Lars Nootbaar, and Hector Rodriguez makes his debut for the Reds. Kratz, you want to go first here for the team you used to play for, finally doing it? Because, hey, last year the Brewers had an awesome season, and a lot of it obviously went late into the year where they went on a run into the playoffs and then got stomped by the Dodgers. There's no excuses this year. They know how good they are. They need to do something significant, and this is the one that's staring at them in the face.
Yes. And talking to the people in Milwaukee, I was there this past weekend. It was less the fact that they had to face the hot Dodgers, all that stuff. They feel like internally, a lot of the people there feel like that game 5, needing to go to 5 games and not putting the Cubs away, game 3, game 4, pushed them a little bit out of where they needed to be. I get it. They scored 0 runs when they were facing the Dodgers, and they looked like they were dominant, like they were dominated. They dominated the Dodgers during the regular season. To me, it may not be Tarik Skubal. Whatever 1B is, if he is 1A, 1B is what they're going to do. I think the Brewers are going to make that move, and this year will be the year that they push it and they become the team that is going to be lined up to knock off the Dodgers.
They need to. They need to do something. Sorry, Brewer fans. You guys need to do something, whether it's Tarik Skubal or whoever. Like, I agree. And then the other one on here that's interesting is St. Louis deals Lars Nootbaar. we treat Lars Nootbaar like he's a superstar. Is Lars Nootbaar a superstar? And I missed the memo that he became a superstar?
No, he's not.
It's all the time. It's all the time. It has been that for the last 3 years. And hey,
I mean, he's
like,
a nice
I feel
player.
like it's not a bold prediction.
He's a nice player. He's not, though. He's not someone where you're like, wow, this guy's going to franchise alter us if we get Lars Nootbaar because he walks a lot.
Yeah, 344 OBP this year, 104 OPS plus. Yeah, I mean, he's put up some decent offensive numbers when he's been on the field, but I'm with you.
He's
I
also
wouldn't
hurt
say
all the
that's
time.
bold.
I feel like he's
think
always hurt.
He is hurt a lot. The bold part is just the Cardinals doing, I guess if you do that, that's not even necessarily selling. You could buy and sell if you're a team like the Cardinals. We could see something like that pop up. Let me get to the AL Central for AJ to lead off here. You'll like the top one. They have the White Sox adding starters, plural, starters. Guardians, Lane Thomas returns. Hey, it's tough to find that kind of bat right now, even though Thomas hasn't been great. Maybe he finds it again. Mr. Grand Slam for the Guardians in the playoffs. Twins adding to their roster. I would say that's bold, but could happen. Tigers avoid a fire sale is what was put on here for the bold prediction. And then 2 starters getting dealt for the Royals. See, I think that should happen if you're Kansas City. Take advantage again of a seller's market here with Lugo, but even more so, Wacha is getting a lot of interest and attention, and they're kind of making it like, man, we don't want to punt on next year. And I'm like, don't worry, acquire some freaking prospects and then pick up another starter in the offseason. But that's me. AJ, your thoughts?
Next year. I love that. Oh, next year. We're worried about next year. Why are we worried about next year? I mean, next year's next year. There might not even be a next year. So let's worry about getting better for – I mean, the Royals aren't 1 year away from being competitive. They're a few years away, so they're going to need more prospects. So I think they have the opportunity to do that. That's why, I love that. Oh, next year, we can do it next year. Next year, there's no next year. And then the thing on here, Lane Thomas, he didn't do so good his first stint with the Guardians, so I'd be surprised if they brought him back. But the White Sox need to add starters. I mean, Davis Martin, I love him, started leaking a little oil. Sean Burke looks really good, but Anthony Kay, he's been okay. They need some – Noah Schultz hasn't been good since he's been back. So the White Sox are leading this division, but they need help. And then the other one in the middle, Minnesota adds to roster. Wait, what? I thought they were going to get rid of everybody. Now all of a sudden they're going to add to this roster? I guess Byron Buxton's off the trade list. I guess Jay O'Rion's not getting moved. And then Detroit avoids a fire sale. What does that mean? Just not trading Tarek Skubal? This must have been written before they lost 3 games in a row, because if I'm them, I'm still thinking about getting rid of some people.
Yep. Glaber, Skubal. Get everything you can. And are the Guardians Lane Thomas away from winning a World Series? Like, that's, to me, that when you're the Guardians and you win the way you win, are you player X away from winning the World Series? Are you, or are you just waiting for Jose Ramirez to come back and then we hope we do good?
Correct. It's not great. It's not what you like to see, especially when it's a bold prediction column, not a conservative prediction column.
I need it. I need a bold. This is my argument with the whole small market, big market. Oh, the small markets haven't won, blah, blah, blah. All these teams say, well, the playoffs is a crapshoot anyway. Wait a minute. What? How can you say, oh, well, playoffs are a crapshoot, but no small market teams can ever win. Small market teams never win. Small market teams never go all in. Oh, wait, the Royals did go all in. They went out and got Edison Volquez that year. They went out and got Ben Zobrist that year. They went out, like, teams that go in may have setbacks later, but they get the ring. So when you're talking bold moves, you know what the Guardians need? The Guardians need Isaac Paredes. If he's out there, like you're just talking about, they need Jeremy Pena. You know why? Because it's going to cost a lot. But these dudes are going to hit some dingers and add some thump to a lineup. And then Jose Ramirez will be like, what? They're pitching around him to get to me. Now I got guys on base. Like, this is the things that change small markets. And it's not as big of we're never going to win again if we don't win this year. No, you're still a really good organization that creates players.
Yep. And for the Guardians, it's literally rinse and repeat. They always need outfield offense. So they've got to figure that out organizationally. They do so many other things well. Lastly, National League East, bold predictions, shall we? We'll look at the Braves, controllable starter added. that should happen. Phillies pushing their chips in. Nationals, CJ Abrams gets dealt. That would be a huge bad addition for whoever gets him. He is on a ridiculous heater in the second half and putting together just an absolutely dominant season at the plate. Liam Hicks has had a great year at the plate, and they have the Marlins stealing him as a bold prediction. And then Luke Weaver getting traded away from the Mets. And to me, AJ, that's actually a must. I know that he's got one more year left next year, but I think he could be one of the best relievers that's acquired. The Mets need to keep adding prospects. It's a waste to pay Weaver the rest of the year. Go get other guys in free agency in the offseason.
Yeah, no, I think Weaver needs to go. I mean, I think he's going to get dealt. I think that that's a way for them to save money for next year, and the Mets aren't worried about next year. CJ Abrams being dealt would be huge. Phillies always put their chips in, so we don't have to worry about that with Dave Dombrowski. That's not a bold prediction. It'd be a bolder prediction if they said Phillies do nothing. That would be a bold prediction because we know Dave Dombrowski and John Middleton are going to try, and then the Braves need a starting pitcher, whether he's controllable or if he's a free agent at the end of the year. I think the Braves need that guy. So these aren't really that bold, other than the fact that if CJ Abrams is dealt, that could be a division wild card changing move if it's to the right team.
Mets, bold prediction. Francisco Lindor to New York Yankees. They need a shortstop. Ooh. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of connection. Stevie Cohen would say, you know what? I get it. I won the Juan Soto deal. Now I'm going to offload this contract onto you. Francisco Lindor will get back to his career, whatever it is, 120 plus OPS plus that he's always had. He's starting to heat up. He hit, I forget how many dingers he's had in the last few games. And it would solidify the shortstop position for the Yankees that can't seem to figure out exactly who to play there on a consistent basis.
Yeah, Lindor would make it very clear cut. There's your shortstop.
That's it.
I like it. I mean,
it's not going to happen. That one's not going to happen.
That's fine.
I mean, I like it, but I mean, it's not going to happen.
He's playing the game.
Bold predictions, right?
Bold predictions. That's the game. Some of the predictions in this article
fantasy
were good.
world, though.
No,
it's not fantasy world. It's bold. It's not fantasy world, though.
Some of the predictions in this article were not bold enough. Some were not. That is not a hot take. Okay, coming up next, we're going to focus on the Mariners. Brady Farkas, refused to lose territory, part of the FT network, is going to give us the lowdown on what the heck's happening and will they push chips in? Hey, we've got GM Territory working hard this week. Jim and Trey Bowden are putting out a new episode every single day. There's another one up today. Go check it out. Part of the FT network. It's really good stuff. We try and bring you premium trade deadline coverage from every angle. This is the GM perspective. We've got insiders, of course. Ken's joining us later. Robert Murray on yesterday. Just roll down the line of the great minds and people that are part of the broadcast and media world that are inside the FT network. So just want to shout that out. Everyone's working really hard this week and next week. We did the big promo too, which maybe we'll do later, but are you guys excited for Monday, the marathon?
Am I supposed to be excited for that?
I think
so.
I
am excited.
At least
we don't have.
It's one of my favorite days of the year.
At least we won't have where will Juan go?
Well, that's an off-season thing.
I mean, we could probably cook something up. Producer lady could cook something up. Where will anyone go? Maybe that's what we could call it.
What about where will Tarek go?
Doesn't work as well.
We can think of something catchier.
Gonna
need a little better effort out of you guys.
I mean, where will anyone go? That is good. That is tremendous. There's going to be so many moves. It's going to be so great. Our Slack channel is going to be just blowing up with, did you see this? We'll get to this. Not important. Unbelievable. What are they doing? Idiots. And it's going to be 5 hours of just awesomeness. And you going, ugh, I never want to talk about more CBA stuff.
Do you know how many trades were made on trade deadline day last year? I mentioned this on yesterday's show, but I know you guys weren't listening. Do you know how many?
64.
Give a guess. How many did you say?
64.
AJ?
I'm just going to say 69 giggity.
Giggity. 36 on trade deadline day, not like during the length of the trade deadline, like on the
64
day
players.
itself. Oh, sure. And you meant 69 players, giggity?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you
Thanks,
have,
guys.
is it not a player?
They'll be here all day.
That's a lot.
Yep. That is a lot. 36 trades. Like, I know we're not in the entire time we're on. Usually I think it's like 1 to 6, but imagine even if it was 20 during that time period, the amount of times that we stop what we're doing and then go over another trade that pops up. Last year, Mason Miller getting dealt to the Padres. That was fun.
Big.
Huge. Brady Farkas is the host of Refuse to Lose Territory, all about the Seattle Mariners, and he is joining us right now on FT. Brady, good to see you, hitting with the hard question right off the jump. You're Jerry DiPoto. What's the plan? What are you doing in the next week?
Well, I think you have to buy, but I think you have to buy smartly. I mean, this team needs offense in the worst possible way, but I don't think they need rental offense. Look, the Taylor Wards are out there. If they could get that guy for not a lot, then I would do it. But I think given the deficit of right-handed hitters available, I don't know that it's possible to get a rental player for or a rental hitter for not a lot. So I think they need to look in the Taylor Ward direction, but I also think that they need to buy with the future in mind, with the ability to get guys who are under team control, because as much as everybody wants this year to potentially work out, and there is a chance that it could, you've got to think about next year as well. So I'm kind of out on the rental players unless they can be had for a good price, and I don't know that the good price really exists right now. I do think that moving a starting pitcher, unfortunately, is a way to get some more talent in here, especially offensive talent, and kind of re-jolt the clubhouse. It's not something I want to do, but it's something I think they may have to do to address what are a growing list of needs.
I was going to say, Brady, what are their needs? Because I just had their game on Saturday. They can't score runs. Their offense is offensive, literally. I mean, their outfit, if it wasn't for Young at the top and Canzone, I don't know where this team would be, because Julio hasn't had it. He had his little couple of weeks where he was hot. Cal Raleigh obviously has been not good. Josh Naylor has not been good this year. They have so many needs. I don't know if there's enough out there for them to, if they want to win the World Series, right? Which is like, if they get to the playoffs, cool. But they need to get to the World Series. And I don't know if they have enough prospects or pitchers or anyone to trade, unless they trade the Moose, right, to get all the needs.
I mean, I think in theory they have enough to do whatever they want. I just don't think it would be smart to go and start blowing up the entire farm system for that run. Like, on the surface, they need offense in general, because outside of Cole Young and Randy Rosarena, they really haven't gotten a whole lot of consistency or a whole lot of slug. The lack of slug has been the biggest problem with this team this year. They are a team built to hit home runs that do not hit enough home runs. Like, they're 14th, 15th, 16th in the league in homers, and that's just not good enough when you are completely home run dependent. They have far too many games, far too many weeks where they fail to produce slugs. So they need offense in general. Particularly, they need right-handed hitting. They are last in baseball in most categories against lefties. The platoons they thought they had when Rob Refsnyder and Victor Robles have not worked. Brendan Donovan has obviously been hurt most of the year, so they've been completely neutralized by left-handed pitching. And oh, by the way, they have an extremely difficult August coming up, and this has been my worry for months now. If they played with their food in the first half of the season, it was going to come back to bite them here in the second half, and it's already bitten them, and we haven't even gotten to August yet, where they're going to see the Tigers, they're going to see the Rays, they're going to see Philly, they're going to see the Cubs, the Yankees, Houston, Milwaukee, and a bunch of those games on the road. Like, it is bad now. It has the potential to get worse.
All right, Brady, I need a one-word answer, yes or no, and it'll dictate where I go from there. Is this team good enough to win a World Series how they're currently constructed?
No.
So then which big league pieces, when somebody says that, and if the team, Jerry DiPoto, believes that, which big league pieces can you get rid of so that you can add other big league pieces? I'm not talking about getting rid of Rob Refsnyder or Victor Robles. I'm talking about Are they prepared in a last year of his contract to get rid of J.P. Crawford's defense because he's only hitting 215 so that they can slide somebody else into a different spot and then understand he's not going to be back next year, so you're not hurting the future, and then adding in somebody in different spots to fill in those pieces because currently what they have isn't working?
I think the guys that everybody says, oh, they could move on from, the J.P. Crawfords, the Luke Rayleys of the world, I don't think they inherently have a whole lot of value on the trade market, especially in a major league for major league deal. The guy they can move is probably Emerson Hancock, who has had a breakout year as a starting pitcher, who is, either their fifth or sixth. They have as many as 9 starting pitchers that need innings next year. They have to move on from someone in some way. Emerson Hancock is the guy who could bring you a return. Now, if we use the Connolly early for Curtis Mead deal as kind of a comparison, it feels like that Curtis Mead was not a big enough return for Boston. You'd be looking at probably a similar type thing for the Mariners as well if they move on from Hancock. Like Casey Schmidt for Emerson Hancock, could that have worked? Yeah, maybe, but Casey Schmidt just got hurt. Was Spencer Steer enough for Emerson Hancock? Probably not, but Spencer Steer just got hurt. Like, they need offense for Hancock, and they need a guy who's under team control for 3 or 4 years. I mean, you guys were talking about the Nationals a little while ago. Like, I'd be interested in Emerson Hancock for Dylan Cruz, but that's not necessarily a move that guarantees to help you now because Cruz hasn't really figured it out. So I don't even know that that would be enough. So it's trying to thread a very small needle, but Emerson Hancock is the best trade chip they have that could actually bring something of value in return to help this year's team as well.
All right, so I got to ask. I mean, and Kratz brought up Crawford. Crawford's playing third base. His defense has been awful this year, according to people in the Mariners that I just talked to when I did their game this weekend, right? He's not hitting, right? Then you have Cal Raleigh, who they're not going to move, but he has not been good. Again, there's so many holes. What is the value? Like you kind of mentioned it. I don't know that there's value in some of the pieces that they could even think about moving because these guys have had such down years. Luke Raley, right? I watched him play center field against the Rangers, and it wasn't great, and he was not hitting either. So they would have to, you're talking about threading a needle. Wouldn't they have to almost give up some of those prospects to try to get major league talent back if they want to do both? I just feel like Capoto's hands are tied because he doesn't have the resources that he normally has available.
Well, they're not going to give up the Kate Anderson and Ryan Sloans of the world, so they're untouchable. They've got Felnine Celestin, who's in Double-A right now, who's a nice piece, who's a shortstop, who's hitting, who's a switch hitter, who's 20 years old, I believe. Like, they could move on from him. Michael Arroyo is a right-handed hitting outfielder / second baseman, represented Colombia in the World Baseball Classic, was their best player at 20 years old in the WBC. They could move him, although I don't think that they should. So, like, they do have prospects outside of Kate Anderson and Ryan Sloan they could move. And the big league club, again, the Ref Snyders, the Rayleys of the world, I don't think they have a ton of value on the market. So I think you're looking at Hancock. Luis Castillo could bring something, but at best, as again, you guys were just talking about these bold predictions, like they could trade Luis Castillo to the White Sox who need a starter, but the best thing they can probably get from the White Sox is salary relief, not a player who's going to help them right now. Even if they traded Hancock to the White Sox, Chase Meidroth would fit the Mariners' needs in a lot of ways, but are the White Sox going to go and give him up as they're chasing a division title? I would guess probably not. So the best thing they can do that they can hope for in a Castillo deal is probably salary relief. Hancock is the guy who can net something of real value. If they really want to go down the rabbit hole of trading George Kirby, he probably could as well, despite the fact that he got lit up against the Rangers on Monday. He's got 2 years left, this one and 2 more. He would bring some value as well. They've said they're not going to move him, so I continue to go back to Hancock and think that is the guy who can get them, more of what they need.
All right, so the answers are within. Who have you seen trending in the right direction that you're going to say, okay, it has been bad, we get that, but I've seen this in the last week. I've seen some positivity that, you know what, this has to change just because of nature.
This is not the answer you're probably going for, but I think the guy that's really impressed me over the last few days is Colt Emerson. Like, I hate to put this on a 21-year-old, a guy who just turned 21, but Colt Emerson came up as a top 5 prospect in baseball, had a couple of really nice moments early, and then his average is down to 194. The chase is getting up there. The swing and miss is up there. He can't lay off the high fastball for a long time. In this series in Texas, he had 3 hits on Friday. I believe he had a hit in every game of this series. Even his outs were loud. He's hitting at the bottom of the order. So, like, this is a guy who I think there is upside for, obviously, given his prospect pedigree. Is he going to carry this offense to the playoffs? No, I don't believe that. I don't think he should have to do that at 21 years old. But this is the guy that I've been most impressed by recently, which kind of gives you a look into how the rest of the guys, how poorly they have that I'm pointing to a 21-year-old. But he's been pretty good over the last 4 games. And if he can get going over these last 55 games or so, that will be some semblance of positivity for what we see that we haven't really had here over the last couple of weeks.
Brady, what about Cal? What's happening with Cal? I mean, is it just – I mean, I saw he did an interview the other day where, oh, it could have been the WBC. It could be this. I've been hurt. But he didn't really say, like, I'm just having a bad year. He didn't also give real answers to the questions. So what is going on with Cal Raleigh? Because he didn't even look like the same hitter even close. His swing rate is way up. His chase rate is way up. His miss rate is way up. It is like, man, what happened to Cal Raleigh? Is it just that he's tired from last year?
I think it's pretty clear that it's a bunch of things. I think if we go back to the WBC, right, Cal's a very routine-oriented guy, process-oriented guy. He didn't play every day. He wasn't getting the reps in the WBC and then the lead up to the WBC. So he came back, tried to overcompensate. It's very clear, Manny Acta said this on a radio station, that Cal got hurt ramping up coming back from the WBC. So clearly he played the first month not at 100%. Obviously, it cost him. He wasn't playing well. Then he goes on the injured list. Now you're looking up at the at the scoreboard, and you're seeing that you're hitting 180, 160. You're trying to chase numbers. You're trying to chase what you did last year, and now it's weighing on you. So I think there's a lot of mental stuff in here as well, at least early. From a physical standpoint, the thing I see the most is, I mean, just the plate discipline has been really, really tough this year. The fastball above the hands has always been something that he's had trouble laying off of. Last year, he got to it a lot more than he had previously, but this year he's not getting to it and he can't lay off of it. And he's doing it from both sides of the plate. He is chasing that fastball up above the hands a lot. He's constantly in some 0-2 counts, 1-2 counts, and everybody knows that against this caliber of pitching, when you're 0-2, 1-2, you're going to have a really hard time, coming back from that consistently, and that is where he is far too often.
All right, is the GM who never sits on his hands going to sit on his hands this year at the trade deadline, Jerry Dipoto?
I don't think so. I do think, based on what others are saying, they are prepared to move a starting pitcher. I think they would like to move Luis Castillo because of the age, the performance, and the money. That's also the reason why other teams are lukewarm on acquiring Luis Castillo. So I think they would move him if they could. I think Hancock is going to be the guy. And while I acknowledge that can bring them what they need, it does put them in a precarious situation moving forward because Logan Gilbert and Luis Castillo are both likely free agents after 2027. Castillo has a vesting option. I don't know if they'll hit it, but you could lose Gilbert and Castillo after 2027 and be out Hancock, and all of a sudden you go from this really big surplus to, okay, we've got 4 or 5 guys that now we need healthy and now we need to, be reliant upon to be really good. And that's a tough spot to be in as well. Just ask the Marlins of 2025 how it was depending on just 5 pitchers to stay healthy. They ended up at the bottom of the National League practically. So if they move Hancock, I understand why, but they're going to end up in a precarious situation moving forward because of all these contract issues.
Uh-oh. AJ, didn't he just strike a chord? Did you hear what he just said about the Marlins having too much pitching? That was one of your favorite notes.
Oh, Brady.
I just was ignoring it. I just wanted to ignore
Come on.
it.
Careful, Brady.
You have to bring Brady into your little thing. Come on.
No.
He's part of the FT fam. Tell him.
Brady, we talked about the Marlins, and I was surprised they moved Ryan Weathers because, he's a controllable starter who's been pretty good for him. And Marlins fans just came after me. We have the best pitching of all time. We have the greatest pitching staff. We have so much pitching. We have pitching that we haven't even drafted yet that will be in the big leagues by next year. I mean, it was like, holy cow, I didn't realize the Marlins were that great. And they just lost 12 games in a row, by the way, because their pitching stunk.
They swept the Mariners right before that, though. That's how bad things have been for the Mariners lately in all of this. So, look, I'm dating myself on this, but remember Jerry Maguire from the mid-'90s? He says, "Jump into my nightmare. The water is warm." That is how Mariners fans feel right now. I mean, it has been ugly. And I will say this, even though you didn't ask, they are headed for a difficult situation if things don't turn around. August 7th through 9th, when they come home to play the Rays, they're going to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the franchise. They're going to have the 50 greatest Mariners there on field, and it has the potential to be really ugly in a lot of ways, right? Like, I don't think they should, but a lot of people do. They could fire Dan Wilson right before the 50th anniversary celebration, of which he'd be a part of, or they can keep Dan Wilson, and Dan Wilson can end up in a spot where he gets booed at the ballpark as part of the 50 greatest Mariners celebration. That is not a good position for the franchise to be in. They need to hope for a lot of reasons they turn this around in the next 2 weeks, because that is going to be a scene that that's going to be a difficult look if things don't turn around August 7th through 9th.
He needs to just make sure he uses Andres Munoz a lot the next couple of weeks, and maybe that prevents some of the boos from coming his way. We got to jump.
If they ever
Brady.
have a
Hold on,
lead,
I have one quick
that would
question.
be good.
Brady,
Yes.
did Bobby Magianis really make that big of a difference that they fired the assistant hitting coach out of nowhere? Because all he does really is flip balls and do whatever Kevin Seitzer tells him. Like, why did the assistant hitting coach get fired?
Quick answer. We got to
think that
jump.
is send a message without sending too big a message. I think that's that simple.
Oof. Brady, you're the man. Thank you. So much more on Refuse to Lose Territory. Brady Farkas joining us on FT. Thank you, Brady. And there it is.
Thanks, crew.
Subscribe to it. Brady's awesome. Really love the show even before it joined the FT network. Coming up next, some big news on Tarek Skubal. Ken Rosenthal joining us.
I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Hey, we were going to bring up something else, but I actually want to take data dish to what you were just talking about, AJ. Assistant hitting coach gets axed when the team's not hitting. That's going to solve the world's problems. Really?
It's his fault. His fault. It was the assistant hitting coach's fault, Bobby Magianis. I mean, they fired him, I think, Friday before they went to Texas. Like, out of nowhere, they were like, "Oh, we're going to make a move. We're going to fire the assistant hitting coach and bring up the minor league hitting coordinator." Like, what? Like, what? Like, it's not Bobby Magianis' fault that all these guys are not hitting. He's doing the same stuff.
Was he with the team last year, Magianis?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He's followed Seitzer.
He came over with Seitzer from the Braves. And if you're talking about like one of the most genuinely happy human beings, like if you've ever met him, you just smile when you hear his name. And I had no idea he got fired. I just texted him like that. Like, he is not the guy. We're going to fire somebody, guys. Okay. That's what we're going to do. But it can't be Bobby. There's no way somebody went in there and was like, the only way Bobby should have gotten fired is if Bobby went in there and was like, guys, he always has a smile. Guys, I'm going to be the one that's fired today. Okay. It's not going to be you guys. And I could see him saying that. That's how nice this dude is.
Bobby smiles too much, so he got fired. But last year, they were all brilliant in what they were doing with the hitting program. Or maybe it was just Cal Raleigh hit 60 homers. And this year, he's not hitting 60 homers.
Julio had an MVP type of year. J.P. Crawford was doing things that he's not doing this year. Yeah, those were things that were going well.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Edgar Martinez couldn't go to the Hall of Fame because they had to fly him into Texas to try to fix the hitting situation because they got rid of Bobby Magianis.
A little bit of offensive chaos going on there. And then the WBC is why Cal Raleigh is not hitting.
That's the word. That's what they were saying. Cal Raleigh's not hitting because his preparation was messed up from the WBC. That's what they were talking about.
As much as I want to sell the narrative that if you don't play and it throws your rhythm off, because then I would have an excuse for my career, I'm not going to sell that narrative. I'm not. You're going to make adjustments from not playing in March till June, till July. You're going to make adjustments. Did he play through injuries? Absolutely. Ask him tomorrow. Was he healthy all last year? No.
Let's hit the inside scoop with FT senior insider Ken Rosenthal. Ken, I'm excited. I know you might kind of try to temper my expectations, but I think it's news when the Tigers fall. I'm not rooting against the Tigers, and it seems more and more like they might move Tarik Skubal. What's the latest?
Well, what I just reported on The Athletic is that teams have been respectful leading to this point, trying to not interfere with the Tigers. They fought to remain in contention, but the time for being respectful is now over. Teams are calling the Tigers, multiple teams, about Skubal, probably starting today, is my understanding. And we'll see where it goes. Certainly, the Tigers' position over the last couple of days has weakened. They've lost 3 straight. They're 6 out in the division, 4 out in the wild card, 7 under 500. Now, I don't know that they've made a decision yet, and I don't know that they're ever going to necessarily make a decision. It might simply be that they have a bar that must be met to trade Tarik Skubal. If that bar is met, whether they're in theory in contention or not, then they trade him. So the action is just beginning here, and I expect over the next few days it's going to get even hotter and hotter. But the gist of the story is that the time for waiting, at least from the teams that are interested's perspective, that's over.
Ken, will this be a last minute thing? Will this be a last minute decision by the Tigers? Like, meaning, oh, it's the trade deadline's at 6 p.m. or whatever, what is it, 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. Eastern, and it's 4:30, and we've now made a decision. Teams, give us your best offer, or are they going to give some? I mean, I know you said the negotiations are open now, but are they going to start actually looking at this and saying, "Man, we might have to do this"?
Well, AJ, a couple things here. I'm saying that the negotiations are open from the other team's perspectives, from the interested team's perspectives. They are ready to start talking. The Tigers, we don't know exactly where their heads are at, but they're not going to take this down to the last half hour and then decide we're going to trade him. If they do that, it would not result in a trade. If they want to trade him, or if they're open to trading him, that's probably the better way to put it. If they're open to trading him, that decision probably will be made in the coming days, well before the deadline, and then the auction begins for Skubal. So I don't see it going down to the end in terms of their decision making. I do see it going down to the end in terms of pulling the trigger and actually making the deal. The more that they wait, or the longer that they wait, the more leverage that they have over the other teams, the more urgent the other teams become. So I don't necessarily see it happening Friday. I see it happening Monday, right before the deadline.
That process has already started. Everyone's going out and looking at who they want, what they would, minor league systems, all that stuff. Do you feel like in the case of Tarik Skubal, the most persistent team gets it done, or the most valued team in the Tigers' eyes gets it done?
The team with the best offer gets it done. It's really simple, Erik, from that perspective. And the offers, of course, the differing offers that they are likely to receive, they are beauty in the eye of the beholder, right? You might see one package from team A, let's call it the Braves, and say, well, that package is really good, but we like team B, let's call it the Brewers, even better. And then somebody else might disagree with that entirely. And then a team like the Dodgers might top everyone. So it's going to come down to purely what the Tigers think they can get. And they have all these formulas now and models and ways they evaluate players. They assign essentially a numerical value to each player. And whatever value is the highest will be the one that they take, if indeed they do this.
Ken, is there a favorite for him? Is there a favorite, you think, in baseball executives' minds for Tarik Skubal? Is there a favorite team that they say, oh, this team needs Tarik Skubal and they have the prospect capital to get it done?
AJ, that's a really interesting question for this reason. If you were just basing it on the quality of a team's farm system and that team's ability to do it, you would say Milwaukee is the favorite. The problem with Milwaukee is they don't like to do these kinds of deals, and I don't expect them necessarily to do this kind of deal. So that's why people keep coming back to the Dodgers. Now, the Dodgers have less urgency than perhaps any team in the mix to actually do this, other than they're trying to three-peat. But in terms of their staff, they're pretty well set, assuming Snell and Glasnow and then eventually Shohei all come back and pitch again. But the Dodgers have a great system, and they have the ability to potentially meet the Tigers' needs here. And as we've reported before, what the Tigers might want here, AJ, is a controllable starting pitcher to replace Skubal in the rotation, cover his innings. Not the same quality, obviously, but that would enable them to keep going here, keep trying to contend. And of course, they would want on top of that additional prospects. So if that's the path they go, all of these teams could probably meet it, but it's a matter of which team has the most motivation to do it. One team we mentioned in the story today is the Braves. And the Braves obviously have a need for a playoff caliber starter. They've had that need since the offseason and haven't addressed it. The Braves have an improved system, and they are seen as a team that could do this. And Alex Anthopoulos, their president of baseball operations, made a trade like this once before. 2015, David Price. Hasn't really done it with the Braves, but hasn't really had the chance to get this kind of difference maker either. So that's going to be a team to watch. And that fact alone might drive the Dodgers to get involved in a greater way than maybe they want to be, simply to play keep away.
Ken, dealer's choice, Angels. What news are you hearing on the 3, possibly 4, if you're throwing Joe Adell in there, the 3 or 4 people that they had, 3 or 4 guys they have to be able to trade it?
Eric, this one's a mystery right now. And it's not a mystery in terms of teams wanting Detmers and Soriano and Zach Neto. It's a mystery in terms of what Artie Moreno ultimately will allow his interim GM, John Mozeliak, to do. Now, Mozeliak has said that he doesn't foresee this as a rebuild. That said, he can still trade one of the players I just mentioned and not call it a rebuild, depending upon what he gets back. We all have talked for years about how the Angels need to do things like this. You would think in bringing in Mozeliak, they would be prepared to do things like this. But as I've said many times before on this show, please do not ask me to read the mind of Artie Moreno.
AJ, you're muted. You're muted, dude.
Ken, don't tell us that.
AJ.
You're supposed to know everything, Ken. You're supposed to know
I don't
everything.
know everything, AJ.
Yeah,
No.
I thought you did. Jeez, all this time, Ken. You
Not
disappointed me. Another AL West team for me, Ken, is the Rangers. They're in first place. They just took 3 out of 4 from the Mariners. Jock Peterson is doing really well. I mean, Wyatt Langford's on fire. Their pitching staff is good. They keep saying, though, everything I heard in Texas this weekend was, we don't know if they're going to have money to go out and make the move they might need to do it. Did this weekend convince them maybe a little bit more after taking 3 or 4 from the Mariners that, hey, we can win this division, and maybe if we get everyone back healthy, we can make a run?
AJ, I've heard the same about the reluctance to take on additional salary. And yes, they're in a good position right now with Corey Seager on his way back. He's getting closer. And if they get Seager and Langford on the field together, hallelujah, they finally would be close to whole. And they've also got starting pitchers coming back, guys who might not be able to contribute as necessarily starters, but certainly pitchers who could give them innings and quality innings. I'm talking about Cody Bradford, Jordan Montgomery, and Jack Leiter. The Rangers owner, Ray Davis, is a member of the Labor Policy Committee. He's a guy who isn't necessarily going to be inclined to add payroll when the sport might be shutting down for part or all of next season, at least in the eyes of the owners. So I don't know if that is what is causing him perhaps to be reluctant to add here, or if it's the Rangers' TV situation, which has been a bit of a mess, as it has been for many teams for quite some time now. They'd recently switched streaming services. They've had all kinds of issues. They've formed their own network, but it hasn't been as lucrative as what they had before with the RSN. All of this is probably coming into play, but that said, owners can act impetuously at times, and they can say, you know what? Yeah, I like what I'm seeing here. We have a chance to do something special. Okay, here is X million to play with. And if that's the case, then the Rangers will do some things.
All right, one of the teams that we know is going to sell, but who are they going to sell? Kind of begs my question of the Elio Ramos with the Giants. He was an all-star 2 years ago. Do the Giants value him the way that other teams value him? Do they overvalue him and want to keep him? Do they undervalue him and want to get rid of him? Where do the Giants sit with him? And because he could be that right-handed bat that a lot of teams are looking for.
They are open on him, and they are willing to listen, as they should be on virtually their entire roster, right? Logan Webb seems to be the only player that they're reluctant on. I believe Bob Nightingale reported they don't want to trade Lee as well, but Elliot Ramos, because of what you just said, Erik, right-handed hitter. We saw what a right-handed hitter brought the Nationals this week. Now, granted, it's a different situation. Curtis Mead is under much longer control than Elliot Ramos is, but it brought a pretty good starting pitching prospect, or even a starting pitcher who has actually established himself in Connolly early. So with that chip, the Giants have something other teams want. Right-handed hitter with power. If you're the Giants, you have to listen on that. You have to entertain it. And if you get your price, you do it.
Ken, Mariners. Where we at? Where we at, Mariners? Mariners wise, is Jerry DePoe? We just had the Mariners guy on for us, and he was talking about how they're this and they need that, and they have a million needs. Are they going to do it? Are they going to be able to fill the needs they have? Is Jerry DePoe wheeling and dealing going to be able to fill these needs to get the Mariners to where they need to get to?
AJ, I don't know if it's a million needs. They've wanted a right-handed bat, and they wanted a high-leverage reliever, an impact reliever, somebody who could pitch in the later innings of a game. They should be able to fill those needs with what they have. They have maybe the deepest starting pitching core, including top prospects of any team in the majors. We've written about Luis Castillo being available and Emerson Hancock being available. So the question for me is not whether they can do it. They can certainly do it. The question's becoming, where are they as a team? Now, you can maybe go out and get multiple bats, as bad as their offense has been, but man, they have been one of the big disappointments in baseball this season, and it goes beyond Raleigh. It's really their whole offense. So it's going to be interesting to see how they approach this. I heard you guys talking on the break about the firing of the assistant hitting coach, effectively the third hitting coach. That to me obviously signaled that they are not happy with the current circumstances and that they want to clearly improve. I, like you guys, thought the move was weak, to say the least. Third hitting coach, really? But they want to win, and they want to be the team that essentially they were last season when they got to Game 7 of the ALCS. But at some point, you have to ask yourself, if you're Jerry DePoto, if you're Justin Hollander, the guys who run their front office, hey, are we good enough?
Yep. And a team that I think has not been good enough, and I thought their offense was going to be great the last few years, Cincinnati Reds were a playoff team last year. Out of nowhere, this year, are they ready to trade? Are they ready to trade and maybe get a new look around the three guys who are doing well, and Blade, Ellie De La Cruz, and Sal Stewart, and go from there? Because there's a lot of guys on the peripheries that were supposed to be part of this next consistent playoff generation for the Reds.
Erik, they're certainly ready to trade. The question is, how deep will they go? And certainly they have a number of players on expiring contracts. Nathaniel Lowe, Tyler Stevenson, some relievers, Brady Singer in the starting rotation. Those are the guys who they likely will move. The question is, would they go beyond that to a Hunter Green, to a Nick Lodolo, to a J.J. Blade? All pitchers under control or players under control beyond this season. I'm not sure they will. They'll be busy enough with their guys on expiring contracts, but to make an impact, you have to trade more than rentals. And that is the question with the Reds. Will they be willing to do that?
Ken, I do read the comments, and there happens to be many Rays fans that have been checking out the segments we do with you. So I'm going to give them 30 seconds right now. Do you think that the ownership group helps to push something along here, recognizing what's going on? I know they've been kind of quiet and they're working hard behind the scenes on the ballpark situation, the new ballpark. But this is such a prime time to strike. They have the farm system. They're top heavy, the team. So do you see it?
I don't know that I see it for that reason. And I actually asked last week, Scott, about the push for the ballpark. And there are a couple of votes in August that are coming up. And whether that would influence them to maybe do something big and positive to sway the people who are voting, the city council in Tampa, the county, all of that. And I was told no. Right now, the Rays economics are what they are. They have not changed, and they are going to operate as they've always operated. Now, if I'm in a new ownership group and I'm with a team that has the best record in the American League, I'm excited. And maybe I do push, but I just don't see the Rays doing anything differently. They always, as we know, play on the big names. Now, they don't always get them. Nelson Cruz was probably the biggest a few years back, but they're going to be aggressive and they're going to try to improve their team. It's a question of how they will go about it. It's the same with every team, of course. And the Rays are really interesting because they can do a number of different things. People talk about shortstop. That's certainly one. Second base could be another. Catcher is something that they've always been short on ever since they didn't draft Buster Posey. So all that and pitching too, yeah, I believe that they're going to do some things. I just don't know, Scott, if that push is going to result from an owner or a new ownership group wanting to make a splash. It's not how the Rays roll.
New owners, Ken. New owners, Ken. Where are you this weekend? Can you tell the people where you are this weekend?
I am in Chicago this weekend.
Are you? Do you know what is happening on Saturday after the game in Chicago?
I do not, AJ.
Ooh, I do.
Scott knows. Last time we did a game in Wrigley, Ken, we got you. You were begrudgingly taken to a DJ set with Adam Amin. I had to drag you there. He is DJing again this Saturday. Can we count you in to be at the DJ set this Saturday?
AJ, deadline. 2 days before the deadline, the answer is absolutely not.
Oh, Ken, you're such a curmudgeon. Such a curmudgeon. Can't even support your people.
Good move, Ken.
Yeah, it's
Adam knows he has my support. He also knows I have a job.
It's tough timing there. It's Lollapalooza this weekend in Chicago, so it's Trade-A-Palooza for Ken, and you can see the Ken, Adam Amin, AJ Pierzynski duo on Saturday on Fox and the Fox One app. Start your 7-day free trial today. Go check it out. Fox with the exclusive games on Saturdays. Ken, thank you. We'll talk to you later this week.
Thanks, guys.
I would say today, I probably am not buying to go ahead and think I'm going to win a World Series.
Right.
But, here's the thing. If I'm AJ Preller, do I think that I have a team that can be one of the top 6 teams in the National League? Do I think that I have that? And right now they're 2 games out of being one of the top 6 teams in the National League. And can I add a little bit to get this team into the playoffs, right? We've seen him push all in back in 2022 with Juan Soto and Josh Hader and others. We saw him push in last year with Mason Miller and Laureano and O'Hearn, right? So we've seen him do that twice. I don't think this is the year for that. I don't. I do not believe today, and I don't think I'm going to change my mind that this is a team that can win the World Series, but I think this is a team that can go to the playoffs. And that's an important distinction because, Marty, I think sometimes people think if you're not going to go to the World Series or if you're not building a World Series contender, then what really is the point? I'm not one of those people. I think if you can get this team to the playoffs and qualify and be one of the best 6 teams in the National League and qualify for the tournament, and that's what it is. I mean, more and more the expanded playoffs, you win enough games during the regular season, you get to qualify for the playoffs and you take your chances. Whether you like your chances or not, we can talk about that somewhere down the road. But can they be one of those teams? I think today, they can be. And can you make a move that can increase your chances of going to the playoffs? I think they can. That's where I'm at with this. Not Tarek Skubal, maybe Clay Holmes. But you know what I mean? Like there's a difference between going out there and getting players like Soto and Mason Miller.
You're not going
and
big.
Getting a couple of pieces that might get you across the finish line where you're one of the top 6 teams. And maybe this team getting to the playoffs would be considered, maybe that would be considered a success.
Right, especially with the uncertainty of what is possibly ahead for next season. There's no guarantees at all. So if you can find a way to improve your team even slightly, find yourself a number 4 starter there, and that could be your number 2, go for it. I think you take that opportunity.
Hey, a reminder right after FT on YouTube, we have Hot Sheet, and it is a very important hot sheet this week and next week, especially. And they're two of my favorite shows of the year. Why? Because they talk about the prospects that might be moving in trades and they know what they're talking about. For example, next week, when you see 36 trades in one day and go, wait, who got what and what are these prospects in terms of their scouting reports? This is the spot. So make sure you check it out. Baseball America Hot Sheet, they're going over all of the prospect chatter and who could be moving, and also how much does it mean for a team. So check that out. Hot Sheet, 3:00 Eastern, after our show.
We got a really good indication about how things look right now, just in a sense. Maybe or maybe not, because Craig Blair's a madman. But on Saturday night, if you guys are sickos like Mark and I, you couldn't stop thinking about Curtis Mead for Connolly Early. I think it's one of the most fascinating like trades to seek out value in a market that currently exists in like the last few years. And thinking about what Curtis Mead got in 5.5 years of control of a left-handed starting pitcher who I think has monster potential in Connolly Early, it does make me think about how value a positionless right-handed hitter who can mash could be on this market.
Oh, I think the first thing I texted you is that I'll never forgive Mark Vientos for completely shitting a fucking brick. I know he's not going to he could never play second base. He could barely play the position that he's been playing his entire life.
Wait, you see Mark Vientos second base?
Yeah.
Mark Vientos, if he played second base, that'd be like playing with 7 defenders.
I'm saying, no, that I'm like using that as like my argument of like, I understand it's not 1-to-1 Curtis Mead, Mark Vientos comp, but the idea is there's a lot of similarities in that Curtis Mead is an optionless guy who really doesn't play the field well almost anywhere. They're going to play him at second base. I think you said he fielded 8 ground balls at that position this year for 0 OAA. Yeah. He might be complete dog shit there. It's a good chance.
Well, that's why I was transitioning this conversation in talking about Francisco Alvarez, where I think Francisco Alvarez is probably a slightly better catcher than Curtis Mead will be a second baseman.
Yeah, probably.
Right? And Francisco Alvarez is a right-handed bat that can mash. I think we have an over-index because having a left-handed bat is pure cheat code. But I think so many teams are so lefty-heavy, and we've seen the Mets do this the last few years, where a tough lefty comes on the mound, you're like, ah, shit, we can't hit this guy. Like
the Yankees talk about it all the time, how they need right-handed bats.
Does anybody have Rob Refsnyder? Where's he lying around? But it's to see a flawed right-handed hitter, again, like you said, with no options, who's had half of a good season at the big league level, who's 25 years old, who was once a really highly touted prospect, who was DFA'd twice in the last calendar year, picked up by his current team in like March, I think, or April, like the first week of April. It does make me think about how absolutely insane a return for Francisco Alvarez could possibly be.
Let's slap. Couple minutes left. We're staying on for bonus time on YouTube like we normally do on the Foul Territory YouTube channel, but we did most unrealistic trade predictions and threw them out there, or trade thoughts. And we had, 50-ish responses now since we announced it. One of my favorites comes from Ricky Flow 16. Preller trades Mason Miller for a crazy haul, just to immediately trade the haul for Scooble and Joe Ryan. I just thought that was fun and crafty, and AJ Preller madness, where you're like, oh, he sold. No, he actually bought.
Oh, he would do that.
Mm-hmm.
He would do something like that.
Yeah,
just to
he
make
doesn't have as many prospects.
Right. He needs prospects. So you trade someone away for prospects. We had like the Ohtani for Judge, just, throwing whatever you want out there just for fun. Anything unrealistic that you guys want to throw out there?
Yeah, White Sox get Skubal. Jerry won't trade in the division, except for this time he will, because he really wants Erik Skubal. So Jerry Reinsdorf trades for Erik Skubal in the division.
Who pays for him? The Tigers, and then they give him more prospects.
Yeah, they give them their 32nd ranked prospects, so that way the Tigers pay more.
Right. JJ Cooper said the other day, he's like, it's surprising how many prospects traded at the trade deadline don't really have anything but a fringe big league career. Yeah, because they don't trade any of the good players, and teams are afraid, scared, super afraid. That's why you got to go after Lindor if you're the Yankees. Go get him. Give me a ball, Francisco. He already lives. He doesn't even need to, you don't have to pay for the moving expenses. I already said that. That was my bold one that I said during the show.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. I thought that was crafty and creative and unrealistic. But hey, let me take a layer of what you were saying there. If it did happen, AJ, do you think that Lindor would waive his no trade clause?
Yeah, I do.
Me too.
I think you would. 100%. I think you would. And I think it would be the right reason that he did it, because he wants to go to a team that has a better chance right now of winning than the Mets do.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Saw
I don't think it's
Soto.
that unrealistic.
No?
It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen during the season. It might now in the off season.
There you
It's
go.
not going to happen during the season. Like I wasn't saying it couldn't happen. I was just going to saying it wasn't going to happen today.
That's fair. Nightingale and Bowden on tomorrow's show. We're staying on. BetMGM Monday locks. Josh Harrison got rained out. Everybody else lost. I actually made a really pretty dumb mistake coming off a trip that can fry the brain a little bit. I picked an afternoon game. It started, I think, at 2:40-ish, but that doesn't count. That's within the window.
Unbelievable.
Doesn't matter, Kratz. I just basically gave some money away to charity. I lost, so it doesn't matter. And if I had won, I would have said that doesn't count. But either way, I take the L. Here we are, still doing well, still doing nicely. Wow, Kratz. Since I've been gone, huh? 1625?
Since you've been gone.
Yeah. What are you doing tonight?
I'm going to go ahead and put together a nice little 3-leg parlay. And it's guys who have combined over 40 plus starts, and only 6 of them have they not gone over 5 strikeouts. So 3 guys are all getting 5 plus strikeouts. Troy Melton versus the Orioles, who strike out a ton. Garrett Cole versus the White Sox, who strike out almost as much as the Orioles. And who strikes out more? The Angels. And they're going against Peter Lambert, who's been sneaky consistent in the strikeout zone. So 3 guys, 5 plus strikeouts, paying out at plus 154.
Beauty. We'll show you what he's talking about on the big board coming up. AJ?
I'm going over on the Nats Blue Jays. It's 8.5. Just because I think the Nats go over every single game. And I'm taking the Yankees to beat the White Sox straight up. And that gets me to plus 236.
Oof. Okay. I got a little plus money for you too. I got the Braves on a run line situation at plus 115. It's a Chris Sale day going up against Christian Scott. Mets smacked the Braves yesterday. This is a little bit of a different ilk and arsenal on the mound for Atlanta. It is, in fact, a Chris Sale day. And let's not forget, the Mets can have some good games on offense, but they do not have Juan Soto for the foreseeable future. I will take them on a run line. There's what we're looking at. You get good variety here. If you want to just go with a single bet like mine, there it is. AJ mixing up a parlay with an over-under and a win, and then a money line, I should say. And then Kratz giving you the K-prop variety. So go check that out. Also, let's point out a futures. We're going to mix in some futures over the next week so that we can see how much it changes after the trade deadline. The Rays are minus 110 to take down the AL East. The Yankees are at plus 110. Everybody else is worlds away. Boston plus 1,100. Baltimore plus 8,000. And Toronto at plus 30,000. 30,000. Wow. That's actually crazy to see how far Toronto has fallen out of the divisional race. And I know they're pretty far out of the wild card race too. Not impossible, but the division is impossible just about at this point. But the Rays are favored. So Rays and Yankees up there. We'll see what that looks like after they do their trade deadline damage. Also, just pointing out that you can get yourself a parlay boost token to swing for a bigger payout within the BetMGM app. Get yourself a little parlay together in the sport of baseball. Activate the token on an MLB parlay, and you'll receive a bigger payout if that parlay wins. Gambling problem or concern, there is help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And that is the show for today. Good to be back with the boys. We could do Kratz hats on the way out.
Sneaky team we didn't talk about today, the Pirates. Obviously, I'm at the shore, so I got to have my Celebrate 250 hat. But maybe the Pirates need to make some type of move here that doesn't cost them a lot of money. Upgrades that brutal bullpen, which they got rid of at the trade deadline last year, and they probably wish they had Bednar right now.
If they had a mediocre bullpen all season, they'd be a playoff team. They don't, so they need to fix that fast. But they're still in the mix. They're very much in the mix. Yeah, they've got time. So we'll see what they do over the next week. So much trade deadline coverage. Stick with us. See you on Wednesday. Bob Nightingale and Jim Bowden are included in the guest list.